10 shocking things airlines can legally do to passengers. Welcome aboard, folks. Before we take off on this countdown, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. If you love travel stories and tips, you'll want to stick with us for the long haul. Now, tray tables up and seats in the upright position, let's get into 10 shocking things airlines can legally do to passengers. And trust me, some of these will make you laugh, cringe, or both. 10. Shrink your seat space to sardine levels. Have you ever felt like a sardine crammed inside a tin can the moment you buckle in for a flight? Well, you're not losing your mind. It really is that cramped. Airlines have been quietly but consistently shrinking both the width of your seat and the precious legroom you need to stretch out. And the kicker? It's perfectly legal. Back in the 1970s, the average economy seat pitch, that's the distance from one point on a seat to the same point on the seat in front, was about 34 to 35 inches. Fast forward to today, and many carriers have shaved several inches off that number. Some of the most aggressive budget airlines now pack in rows with as little as 28 inches of pitch. To make matters worse, seat widths that once hovered around 18 to 19 inches have slimmed down to a diet size 16 inches. That's smaller than the average restaurant chair. Here's where it gets even more absurd. There's no federal requirement for a minimum seat size. Regulators like the FAA don't care if you're folded up like origami, as long as the airline can prove the aircraft can be evacuated in 90 seconds during a safety test. That's it. No comfort standards, no guarantee of circulation-friendly legroom, just a stopwatch. Consumer advocates have been sounding the alarm for years, warning that if this trend continues, we could be entering what they call the torture class era of air travel. Imagine 6 hours squeezed between two armrest hogs with your knees pressed into the tray table. And if you think being crammed into a seat designed for someone the size of a 10th grader is bad, just wait until you learn about the cleanliness of those seats. Buckle up. This next shocker might make you want to bring your own hazmat suit. 9. Skip the deep cleaning. Bring your own wipes. You'd probably assume that your airplane seat, no matter how cramped or uncomfortable, at least comes to you in a reasonably clean state. After all, thousands of people shuffle through airports every day, so surely the airlines must deep clean between flights, right? Think again. The truth is, airlines are not required to thoroughly scrub down the cabin between every single trip. In fact, most don't. Once the strict COVID protocols faded, many carriers quietly returned to what they call quick turn or turnaround cleaning. Translation: a fast trash pickup, a quick swipe here and there, maybe a seatbelt straightened for good measure, and then boom, boarding begins. It's all about speed, not sparkle. Now for the gross part. Studies have revealed that the humble tray table, the very place where you rest your snack, drink, or laptop, can harbor up to 8 times more bacteria than a toilet flush button on the same aircraft. Think about that the next time you set down your sandwich. And those cozy blankets and pillows that sometimes show up on longer flights? Many aren't freshly washed at all. Often, they're simply refolded, stuffed into a plastic sleeve, and passed along to the next unsuspecting passenger. Seat back pockets might be the worst offender of all. People have found everything from dirty diapers to uneaten food tossed inside them. Let's just say it's not the in-flight storage solution you think it is. So what can you do? Channel your inner germaphobe and come prepared. Bring sanitizing wipes, a small bottle of hand sanitizer, and give your tray table, armrests, and buckle a quick once-over before settling in. Because here's the kicker: airlines are only legally obligated to prioritize on-time departures, not spotless cabins. Feeling a little grimy yet? Don't worry, relief is available if you're willing to pay an absurd price. And that brings us straight to our next shocker. 8. Nickel and dime you with fees for almost everything. Fasten your seatbelt, but careful, give it a few years, and the airline might slap a fee on the buckle itself. Okay, not quite yet, but honestly, it wouldn't be surprising. Airlines today can legally charge you for almost everything that used to be included in the price of a ticket. Remember when meals, checked bags, and picking a window seat were just part of flying? Those days are long gone. Now, the a la carte model rules the skies. Checked baggage? Extra. Want to choose your seat in advance so you're not stuck in the dreaded middle spot? Extra. Craving a hot meal instead of a tiny bag of pretzels? You guessed it, extra. And here's the kicker: even your carry-on might cost you. Some ultra-low-cost airlines have started charging passengers for anything larger than a purse or small backpack. That little roller bag you thought was safe? Surprise! It comes with a price tag. And these fees aren't just pocket change. Globally, baggage fees alone raked in nearly $30 billion in a single year. That's right, airlines are making blockbuster profits not from the tickets themselves, but from the sneaky add-ons. Seat selection fees are exploding too, so much so that one airline actually reported making more money from seat fees than from checked luggage. Think about that. Just convincing people to not sit in the middle seat is more profitable than hauling tons of baggage across continents. Here's why it's all above board. When you purchase a ticket, you're agreeing to what's called a contract of carriage. Buried in that fine print, airlines reserve the right to set fees however they please. But hey, at least once you've paid up, you're free to board, right? Well, not always, because your outfit, or even your personal odor, could become the next reason you're grounded. 7. Kick you off for clothing, odor, or attitude. Think airline dress codes went out of style with bell-bottoms and disco. Think again. Airlines still reserve the legal right to deny boarding or even remove passengers if they decide your clothing, hygiene, or behavior doesn't meet their standards. The rules aren't always spelled out in neon lights, but they're buried in that same contract of carriage you automatically agree to when you buy a ticket. Here's how it plays out in real life. No shoes, no service. Show up with a t-shirt splashed with obscene language. Don't be shocked if you're asked to change or deplane. Believe it or not, body odor can also get you booted. There have been documented cases where passengers were removed because other travelers complained the smell was too strong. And it's not just about hygiene. Sometimes it's fashion itself that sparks drama. Remember the headlines when passengers wearing leggings were denied boarding? Yup, those stretchy travel staples once caused a mini PR storm. But clothing isn't the only thing under scrutiny. If you get into a heated argument with another passenger or, worse, with a flight attendant, you might find yourself on the receiving end of the dreaded interfering with crew duties charge. Translation: the crew has the final say, and if they feel you're being disruptive, they can and will have you escorted off the plane. It doesn't matter if you've already boarded, buckled up, and stowed your carry-on. Their judgment is the law in the air. So, the takeaway: keep your wardrobe safe for work, your deodorant handy, and your tone polite. Flying is stressful enough without adding an involuntary exit to the list. And speaking of things that can unexpectedly leave you behind, let's talk about luggage, because sometimes your bags don't make the trip even when you do. 6. Lose your luggage and limit the liability. You end up in Rome, but your suitcase takes a detour and lands in Rio. Frustrating? Absolutely. Illegal? Not at all. Airlines are fully within their rights to misplace your luggage and then hide behind payout limits that make you wish you just packed everything in a backpack. Here's how it works. Even if your bag vanishes into the Bermuda Triangle of airport baggage systems, airlines only owe you a capped amount of compensation. In the United States, the domestic cap sits at a few $1,000s, while international flights fall under the Montreal Convention, which slashes that number to roughly half. That's not exactly comforting if your suitcase contained half your net worth. And here's the kicker. Valuable items like electronics, jewelry, heirlooms, or anything fragile are typically excluded from reimbursement altogether. Translation: if you decide to check your $10,000 Rolex or grandma's pearl necklace, don't expect the airline to shed a tear when it disappears. It gets worse. Timing is everything. If you don't report your missing bag almost immediately, the airline can deny responsibility altogether. Most carriers give you a very short window, sometimes just hours after landing, to file a claim. Miss that deadline, and it's as if your bag never existed. Now, to be fair, technology has improved. Bag tags with RFID chips, mobile apps, and automated tracking systems mean fewer bags vanish into oblivion compared to years past. But fewer doesn't mean never. Millions of bags are still mishandled every single year. And when it happens, the fine print always tilts in favor of the airline, not you. But here's a twist. What happens when you become the problem instead of your luggage? That brings us to an even more shocking reality. 5. Flag you for extra security screening. The surprise. Ever spotted the mysterious 4 letters SSSS stamped on your boarding pass and thought it was some sort of secret airline coupon code? Sorry to disappoint, it doesn't stand for Super Special Sky Savings. It stands for Secondary Security Screening Selection. Translation: brace yourself for an extended date with airport security that includes extra bag checks, swabs, questions, and possibly a very personal pat-down. Here's the wild part. Airlines themselves can play a role in who gets flagged. Did you buy a last-minute one-way ticket? Pay in cash instead of with a credit card. Flying out of certain regions considered high risk. Congratulations. You've increased your odds of scoring the dreaded SSSS. Sometimes it's just random luck of the draw, but other times, your travel choices and patterns put you squarely in the spotlight. And before you think you can politely decline, forget it. Once you're selected, there's no skipping the process. TSA officers or international security agents are legally required to give you the deluxe screening treatment. This can mean unpacking your carefully Tetris-stacked carry-on, swabbing your laptop for traces of explosives, and asking a series of questions that make you feel like you're auditioning for a spy thriller. Why is this allowed? The practice falls under post-9/11 aviation security programs. Airlines cooperate with government watch lists, security directives, and even their own internal risk algorithms to decide who gets the extra attention. The rationale is that it keeps air travel safer, even if it makes your trip feel a little more like boot camp. Annoying? Definitely. Invasive? Absolutely. But at least it only lasts for one flight. Or does it? Because the real nightmare begins when the airline, or the government, doesn't just single you out for a day, but potentially for life. 4. Ban you from the airline and partners for life.
Yes, airlines can ban passengers, and not just for a flight or two. We're talking permanently. You don't have to land on a government no-fly list to get grounded for life. Airlines maintain their own internal blacklists, and once your name's on it, good luck convincing them otherwise.
The reasons vary. Sure, violent outbursts or physical assaults are obvious deal breakers, but bans can also come from less dramatic, though still disruptive behavior. Remember when mask rules were enforced during the pandemic? Thousands of passengers who refused to comply ended up banned by major airlines. Others have been blacklisted for verbally abusing staff, harassing fellow passengers, or repeatedly trying to game the system. Speaking of gaming the system, one offense that really boils airlines' blood is skip lagging. That's when you buy a cheaper multi-leg ticket with no intention of flying the final leg, say booking New York to Dallas with a layover in Denver, then just hopping off in Denver. Smart for your wallet, but a nightmare for airline logistics. Some carriers have tracked down and banned passengers caught doing it. And here's where it gets even harsher. Bans don't always stop at a single airline. Thanks to global alliances like Star Alliance, oneworld, or SkyTeam, a ban with one major carrier can quietly spill over to its partner airlines. That means you might not just be exiled from Airline X, you could be locked out of half the world's carriers. Imagine being grounded across continents all because you lost your cool over a delayed gin and tonic.
But even if you're the picture of politeness, don't get too comfortable, because the truth is, even a confirmed ticket doesn't guarantee you a seat. And that brings us to the next shocker.
3. Bump you off an overbooked flight, even if you paid. This one is infamous. Airlines routinely oversell flights. In plain English, they sell more tickets than there are seats on the plane. Why? Because airlines gamble on the fact that a handful of passengers won't show up. But when everyone does show up, congratulations! You've just entered the musical chairs phase of your travel experience. First, they try the polite approach, asking for volunteers. Out come the offers, travel vouchers, meal credits, hotel stays, that sometimes climb into the thousands. Some savvy travelers actually hope to get bumped, treating it like winning the airline lottery. But if nobody volunteers, that's when the smiles fade and the system kicks in. The criteria for who gets the boot can vary. Sometimes it's based on who checked in last. Other times, it's the lowest fare paid. And sometimes, it's just plain bad luck. One way or another, a few passengers are about to discover their confirmed seat wasn't so confirmed after all. Now, to be fair, there are rules. In the US and Europe, you can be entitled to compensation depending on the length of your delay and your final destination, but no amount of reimbursement makes up for missing a wedding, a business deal, or your own cruise ship. And if you resist being removed, things can spiral fast. But here's the jaw-dropper. Totally legal under their rights to manage oversold flights. And if you think overselling is bad, buckle up, because sometimes airlines skip the bumping drama altogether and just cancel the entire flight outright, leaving everyone stranded. 2. Cancel or delay flights without owing you much. Airlines can cancel or delay flights, and in many regions, aren't required to give you much beyond a refund. In the US, Airlines only have to refund your ticket if they cancel. No hotel, no meals, no compensation for missed events. In Europe, rules are stricter, with cash compensation for long delays, but many countries have no such protections. Even the dreaded tarmac delay, sitting for hours on the runway, only got limited in the US after a special tarmac rule. Elsewhere, passengers can still be trapped for long stretches with little recourse. So yes, airlines can leave you stranded, but there's still one thing more shocking. 1. Restrain you in your seat. Yes, duct tape is an option. If you become dangerously unruly on a flight, crew can legally restrain you. That might mean zip tie cuffs, or in some cases, duct tape. This isn't just for show. It's written into international law that captains have authority to protect the aircraft and passengers. Multiple recent incidents have seen disruptive passengers literally taped to their seats until landing. The restrained person usually meets law enforcement upon arrival, and possibly a lifetime ban. Meanwhile, the airline and crew face no penalties. In fact, regulators back them up since interfering with crew duties is a federal crime in many countries. So yes, the airline has duct tape, and yes, they can use it on you.
And there you have it, 10 shocking things airlines can legally do to passengers. From sardine seats to duct tape restraints, these rules and loopholes show just how much power airlines really have.
If you enjoyed this countdown, smash that like button, subscribe, and comment below. What's the most shocking airline experience you've ever had? Thanks for watching, safe travels, and may your next flight have plenty of legroom, working Wi-Fi, and zero duct tape.